everybody, and welcome to episode 20 of the Sean Lowery Show, and I'm super excited. I have a special guest, and he is named a leading transformational expert by Harvard, MSNBC, and Success Magazine. Julian Rosen, he's a coach, he's a speaker, and he combines functional neuroscience, which I love, and self-mastery to help transform burnout success chasers into passionate and prosperous difference makers. He's the founder of the Fearless Life Project. I'd like to welcome Julian Rosen. How's it going, man?
Special guest.
Special guest, yeah.
I'm loving it. And lucky number 20.
That's right. That's actually my number, too.
Seems like a cool episode to be featured on. So, yeah, definitely excited to come on here with you, Sean. And, obviously before this, we had only spoken via chat.
Yeah.
So, you have no idea what someone is, energetically going to be like. But now that I think we're matching each other.
Yeah, dude. I love the energy. Awesome. So give me your intro. Tell me your story. Tell me about yourself.
Yeah. Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, did you go to neuroscience school? Like, how do you know all this? And I mean, if you look at a lot of people's stories, I'm sure yours is no different, right? Like a lot of it is life unfolded and it was either choose to respond or just let life kick your ass for a very long time. And so, my defining moment that I can really zero in on is when I was 22. I was the biggest mama's boy ever. Like, loved my mom, just like the greatest woman ever. And so she got diagnosed with breast cancer very abruptly, and then less than a year later, she was gone. And no one equips you to handle that, right?
Man,
like, especially,
terrible.
and 22 is a funny age too, because it's like right when you're leaving college, and especially in the U.S., that's kind of just that age when society is like, okay, go be a grown up now, go figure out everything.
Yep.
So I found myself with all this pressure on me, like, all right, I need to go figure out my life. I just lost my mom, who I love very much. Okay, well, here comes clinical depression. Okay, here comes anxiety. Here I get put on a bunch of medication, and I'm just stuck, existing. Yeah. And so really where all of this got into motion was, you got to hit rock. I rephrase that. You don't have to hit rock bottom. That's not a prerequisite for massive transformation. But for me, it just kills your ego.
Yeah.
When you're at rock bottom, you're like, I don't have any of this figured out. Like, right. I'm not this isn't working. And so my rock bottom moment, I remember when things got really bad, it got to a point where I would stay up as late as I could so that I wouldn't have to wake up. That's how dark it got. I was like, I don't want to go to sleep because if I do, my alarm's going to go off and I'm going to have to be alive again. That's how hard it got to just exist. Right. So yeah, things weren't awesome. And, but one night I just had this little aha moment. I was feeling anxiety. I was feeling depression. And just this little light bulb went off. It's like, yo, Julian, you're experiencing this, you're observing it, but you're not it. Right? Classic mindfulness 101, observe it, see it, but don't be it. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah. Acknowledgement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, wait a minute. If I am Julian, the being, temporarily experiencing depression and anxiety, well, that means I can go do stuff. If I'm just experiencing these things, right? If I am not depression, I am someone's experiencing it. Wait a minute, this isn't a death sentence. I can go do something. Right? And it was just that little mindfulness moment that just kind of blew the gates open. And at that point, I was literally just had this conversation with myself. I'm like, okay, what I'm doing is not working. I just came from this dark pit that was very painful. So nothing can really hurt me as bad as that did. So what is scaring me? What is scary to me? I'm going to go do it. And at the time it was leave my job and go be a personal trainer just because I liked fitness. It made me feel good. So I was like, cool. And I didn't have a 30-step plan. I didn't know how A was going to go to B, C, D, all the way to Z. But I was like, okay, this is kind of scaring me. But I don't like where I came from. So I'm going to lean into fear and do something.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then that led to this career in performance coaching and fitness coaching. And I started an online fitness business and a blog, and that evolved into this type of coaching that I'm doing now, which has evolved 100 times. And it all started from that moment of, okay, what is fear trying to keep me from doing? I'm going to go do that.
Yeah. How much time passed from when your mom passed away until you had that aha moment? Was it a month, 3 months, 6 months?
It was 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months. Okay. So 3 to 4 months, you were really down in the dumps and you turned around. And didn't you move at some point? I think.
Yeah. So, well, it's like, yeah, I moved, and then my now wife at the time, girlfriend, started travel nursing. So we actually moved a lot.
Okay.
So for the last 2.5 years, we moved over 9 times.
Jeez.
So like, you want to talk about getting out of your comfort zone and just like picking up and going.
Yeah.
So
that's a crazy story. And actually, my dad passed away when I was 12. But it was definitely not the same experience because he had ALS. So for like 6 years before that, he was sick. So it wasn't like I never got the relationship that you had to be as crushing. But I think one thing that's really interesting from that and is the moving element, because I never had a down depressed moment, but I moved from Philadelphia to Charleston just for pretty much no reason. A lot of people are like, "What are you doing? Why are you?"
How old were you when you did that?
I was about 22. I just graduated college, quit my job, started my business, and I moved. And it was no one really understood why I was doing it, but like I just wanted to go and move and kind of like start my life over. And it's not that anything was going bad. It's just that I kind of like in a weird way was wanted to focus so much on my business that the surroundings that were with me before, my friends and family and like people asking me to hang out all the time. Like I just kind of like removed that. And me and my fiance, we moved away and kind of just like set up this life here, which has been awesome. And I think moving is a tip to maybe like give people some
matters. Environment matters because, and a lot of it happens at a subconscious level. And I think this is great. Like if this comes out next week, great, because it's going to be right around the holidays, right? Yes. And this is a great experiment for people because a lot of people, they go home for the holidays. Excuse me. They immerse themselves in old environments, old people, old sights, old sounds, old smells, like literally anything can trigger this. But yeah, environment, like boom, it could be one thing that triggers an emotion within you and you can just, you lose control. Your subconscious kicks on and you lose control. So I know exactly what you mean. And so
controlling your environment, like that's so key. I actually heard your podcast, like you're talking, it might have been from like a year ago at Thanksgiving. You were talking about how people go back and they're expected to be this person in the certain settings and environments that they're in. And it's crazy. It's Thanksgiving, but like if you can set that up in your own life, I think that could be huge for people. Like just setting up your own environment. And a lot of times you don't control the environment that you maybe if you're just in your hometown or something. But I think that's interesting. So you move a lot. So you're getting like used to new environments all the time, which is probably healthy in a way.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's a little bit of, it's stressful from a place of, okay, we're attached to a mind and body that play by certain rules. Right. So like when you thrust yourself, if you thrust yourself into the unknown, even if you have a rock solid mindset, just your physiology, your biology doesn't like the change. So you're going to experience a little bit of stress and anxiety. And that's okay. And that's okay, especially if you can see it and not be it. Right. And so that's something that, you know, we're in Austin, Texas right now, and we're actually going to be here for the foreseeable future. So
great place.
I think some of the moving is going to slow down a little bit, but yeah, it's cool because you get to, we're creatures that love patterns, right? We love associations and patterns. So literally, like when you wake up in your bedroom, you immediately get reminded of who you are. Oh, this is Sean. This is Sean's bedroom. This is Sean's alarm. This is Sean's shower. Okay. It's a weekday. All right. I know what a weekday is. And so your brain is constantly trying to just activate patterns, right? So it's like, today's Monday. Now,
this is what I do on Monday.
What's your policy on swearing on here?
I don't fucking care. I love it.
Right. So a lot of people, right? Like, fuck, it's Monday. Okay. Well, because it's Monday. All right. And then your brain goes, okay, well, we've done Monday before. Monday's typically this grouchy, low energy day. Go.
Yeah.
Here's the script. Go. Right. And we have patterns for the weekend and we have patterns for vacation, right? Like your brain just loves scripts and patterns. And so, yeah, when you change your environment, you don't have a lot of that associative recognition. So it's like,
I think it's healthy. I think it's like I think it's a good exercise for people to do. And it's kind of like, it's like a bicep curl of like you get used to it more and more, I think. And the more situations that you get into that you're not used to and you handle it, I think the better you get at it. And a lot of people, I think, just get stuck in the same day-to-day activities and they become unhappy because they don't know like what to do and they're like not happy and they don't know why. And I think just switching it up is like always a good move for people. But I wanted to ask you about like, so that I'm fascinated by the brain science and the neuroscience and stuff. And like, I'm an idiot. I'm no expert on this stuff. I'm not like some college grad but all right. So this is kind of like my understanding. Tell me like if this is something that you're familiar with, but like, so basically your brain has like the frontal brain, which is like your conscious mind. And then the back of your brain's kind of like the subconscious mind. And like, in order to convince yourself something, you need to convince like your subconscious mind. And like the way to get to your subconscious mind is it has to go through your like rational part of your mind to get into the back of your mind. So like, and then a thing I've learned before is like, if you visualize something when you're awake, it is almost like the same thing as it happening in reality. You're like, the front of your brain doesn't know the difference between something that you envision and something that you see for real. So if you keep like envisioning something over and over in the front of your brain, like your subconscious mind, which controls your behavior, kind of starts to accept that reality. Like, is that like correct? Like, is that?
Yeah, dude, you're definitely in the ballpark for sure. And it's true. Like, I call it reverse engineering a memory, but yeah, like if you can envision something and feel it, like feel the emotions that you would feel as if it were happening. Yeah. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference, right? Your subconscious mind is like, oh, we're successful now. Look, we're making this much money now.
And your subconscious mind is the one that kind of affects your subconscious behavior. Right?
Yes.
Like, that's what you really want to change.
Yeah. So yeah, in your subconscious, you have your deep-seated beliefs, your emotional patterns, your habits, your resistance to change. All that is at a subconscious level.
Right.
And so it's funny to understand how that works, right? Because
you can hack it.
Yeah, you can hack it, because there's a lot of people consciously all day. You can be like, hey, this pattern that you're in doesn't serve you. Do you agree? They're like, yeah, like it's not good for me.
Right.
And then they'll go and fall back into that pattern. Right. And here's how you know you're being impacted by your subconscious mind. And this is really important, right?
Yeah.
Your subconscious lives below your neck, right? So when a lot of people, let's say it's New Year's and they're like, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to start waking up early. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to get into amazing shape. Cool. All right. Now, willpower is like sprinting, right? It's okay in short distances, but like you don't sprint a marathon. You can't, right? Lactic acid, you'll burn out. It'll build up. You lose. So it's like relying on willpower is like trying to sprint a marathon. So it's like, okay, once the willpower wears off, this person who's going to the gym, they're trying to create habit change, behavior change, right? Lifestyle change in their life. What happens is one day their alarm goes off and they have a negative feeling. Our feelings drive what we do, right? Mm-hmm. So they have a negative feeling, right? And it's funny, like when we experience overwhelm or doubt or anxiety or unworthiness or whatever, we don't actually feel it where the neural activity is happening. Where do we feel it? Chest, solar plexus, stomach, gut, heart.
Gut.
Right? Yeah, gut. Yeah. That's how you know it's just your subconscious. It's an emotion stored in your subconscious that you learned between the ages of 3 and 10. Right. So there's a lot of people. So here's the thing, like if you're 5 years old and someone makes fun of you for being big boned or overweight or fat and you accept that, because here's the thing, between the ages of like 3 and 10, right now, think about this. There's a doorman sitting at the front of your brain and anything that's crazy or BS or whatever, he's like, get the fuck out of here. That's not true. Like, no one comes on New Year's Eve and puts presents under your tree. Like, Santa, it's not real. Fuck off. But when your age is from 3 to 10, there's no doorman. Everything gets in.
I like that.
Especially when it comes from an authority figure. So if it comes from a parent, a coach, a teacher, an older kid on the schoolyard, like if it comes from someone we deem an authority, it gets a front row seat into our subconscious mind.
Wow, yeah.
Right? So if you grow up thinking, oh, I come from a big bone family, we're just big. We eat, we're big. That's what we do, right? Like, notice you didn't consent to that. You didn't actively choose that. It was, you inherited it, right? But here's the thing, at a subconscious level, if you conceive yourself to be overweight and big boned, anytime you approach changing that identity, boom, you're going to get hit by something. Your subconscious is going to throw up.
The doorman.
Yeah. You're going to get like, boom, anxiety or unworthiness, or all of a sudden you're going to feel this negativity and not want to continue to do the things that are changing, right?
Yeah.
Because again, like you're trying to change yourself consciously, but your subconscious identity is holding on to this overweight version of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, that's so fascinating. Yes.
It's wild, man.
Yeah.
It's,
Understanding that has kind of helped me a lot. I like to say, I like to treat like fear and like anxiety kind of like a golf ball, because I stare at it for like 10, 15 seconds and then I just try to smack it away. Cause like it's there. Like you can't, like fear, like I heard on one of your things about fear being like wired into us from our ancestors, like biologically too. And that applies to like everyone. Everyone has different fears. But like, I feel like I've gotten good at just acknowledging it and kind of just ignoring it and slapping it away. And it makes me feel great. And like a lot of people, I think, just like are overwhelmed by that and then just kind of crushed. And like, is that something you see with a lot of your clients? Like they're just stuck right there?
Yeah. Yeah. And so a lot of us, we take our negative emotions as marching orders. Like,
okay,
oh, look, there's anxiety. I better get anxious and overwhelmed because, right. Like, right. Or like, oh no, oh man, like,
yeah. Cause I still get it. I still like,
oh dude, it's unless you get a lobotomy. Unless someone like chops off part of your brain, like, yeah, it's part of us. It's part of it's ingrained in our psyche. It never goes away because it's a self-preservation mechanism. So we can't beat ourselves up when we see it or when we feel it, but we got to switch. We got to switch it from this is a marching order to this is just like your GPS. If your GPS is like, hey, turn left, you wouldn't beat up your GPS and be like, oh my God, my GPS is telling me it's giving me feedback. Yeah. Oh no, like you're just getting feedback, right? Like what you do with it is up to you, but like, yeah, you can visualize it as a golf ball and be like,
just get out of here.
Be like, that's trying to keep me safe from a threat that doesn't exist. I'm gonna move on. Right?
Yeah.
And you said it's like doing a bicep curl, right? Neuroplasticity is literally our brain's ability to change and flex and develop new pathways and outgrow old pathways. So like if you do it, it becomes who you are. So it's like we look at people, we're like, man, they're so consistent, or they're such fearless speakers when they get on stage. If only I could do that, right? Like we think everything is set in stone and some people just got lucky. No.
Yeah.
Just like a muscle, right? They practiced it.
And I think it creates happiness too, because like being aware of that, I'm just like, no, my marching orders, I'm not listening to it. I'm a badass. Yeah. I'm not going to listen. I'm going to go off on my own path. So I think that's
and it does. It does. It when you can keep a promise to yourself, in the face of a temporary negative emotion,
it feels great.
That's what cultivates confidence. Like
confidence, happiness, like not waking up and feeling like shit. And I love that. I love that. All right, so I got another question about this, like visualization. I have this opinion, and basically nobody agrees with me. So like, all right, so like, people like say like, I don't have a kids yet. I'm getting married in 4 months. Maybe I'll have kids one day. Maybe I'll have kids one day. But like, people always say you don't know what it's like to have a kid until you have one, and I'm always like, well, I can imagine it. I've thought about it thoroughly. I have visualized it a bunch of times. Like, no, it's never happened to me, but I feel like I can kind of imagine it. And people are like, no, you can't imagine it. And it's kind of the same thing with like, oh, you don't know what it's like to be someone from a poor area, or you don't know what it's like to. And I'm like, well, if I really spend the time and think about it, I feel like I can envision it. And people are like, you're just arrogant. Like, you think you know everything. Like, but what do you think about that? Do you think you can, like, feel these feelings of like these crazy life events, like having a kid, like beforehand? Like, is that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's funny it's funny you say that, because all emotions aren't actually caused by circumstances. It's just our reaction. That is it. So you can experience the anxiety of a tired new parent right now, right? Like you can, regardless of the external circumstance.
Yeah.
You can embody the scarcity and the lack of security of not feeling like you have opportunity, of feeling like you come from a place where there's not a lot of opportunity.
Right.
You can feel that right now. Do you need to set the stage to feel it exactly? No, you don't need it to feel it, right? Like, just like I can feel fucking content and secure and abundant right now. Could there be more money in my bank account? Yeah, there could always be more, right? And if more is always better, what I have isn't enough. Oh fuck, right? Like that's a problem we all fall into. But okay, like I can, but I can feel it right here, right now, regardless of the circumstance I've been conditioned to think is the cause, right? So a lot of people think, okay, they've been conditioned. Once the money's there, then I'm going to feel secure. My security comes from the money. The money didn't jump into your brain and connect the neural pathways that allow you to feel security. Right. It's what you've been taught to feel about money.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I despise and I hate and I'm disgusted by the lottery, because people think they're going to win it and then they think their life's going to be all set and they think they're going to be good, but it doesn't change anything about you. It just, and a lot of those people,
money's an amplifier.
An amplifier. That's a good word. Yeah. It makes you more of who you are, right?
Yeah. So if you're a stingy asshole and you get $1 million, you're just going to be a bigger, stingier asshole.
Right. But if you don't know anything about managing money, you might lose it all, right?
Yeah. Or if you feel unworthy, right? I just got this tattooed on Saturday, and
I was going to ask you about tattoos. Actually,
it stands for "as within, so without." As within, your internal world is what creates your external reality.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. It's so true.
Oh, dude, it's
not vice versa. It's not.
No. Like vice versa means you're a victim. Vice versa means you're a victim to your circumstances.
That. Yeah.
But your internal world, and now they're proving this. Like, this used to be straight spiritual manifestation, law of attraction. Like, you can take it by faith, but you can't really prove it. But now, dude, through quantum physics, evidence-based psychology, epigenetics, all of these measurable things, they're showing that your internal state influences matter, influences circumstantial matter. Like, literally influences the particles that compose everything.
Like, and that's been studied in like the brain, or like by like studying people's lives, or both.
So consciousness.
I mean, I believe it, obviously.
So there's a book called The Divine Matrix, and it's fine. It's kind of boring. Don't read it. But there's an amazing study that they cite in it. And so they took a piece of human DNA and put it in a test tube. And in the test tube so if you zoom in on you far enough, or me, or the space between the computer, or a dollar bill, or a Corvette, whatever, if you zoom in far enough, everything is just vibrating quantum energy. It's photons and electrons, right? That's all it is. Everything, right? So if you think like everything is built by the Legos of life. Right? So these photons and electrons, everything. Okay. So if everything is made from these photons and electrons, okay, well, who controls how these things behave? And so they did a test. They put a piece of human DNA in a test tube with these photons and electrons. Yeah. And then the person whose DNA it was, they showed them happy images. And they had a happy reaction. They showed them negative images. They showed them fear-based images. They showed them abundance images. And based on the emotional state that the person was in, whose DNA it was, the photons rearranged themselves in different ways. So there was a happy pattern. There was a negative pattern, right? Like there's a
fascinating
incoherency. So
that's so fascinating.
Literally, your internal world builds your reality.
That's so fascinating. I'm not even like surprised. Like if I had to guess, I would say that would be true. But that's so cool that you can now like say to people, this is real, like science, like it's been proven.
It's quantifiable. And but dude, like spiritual gurus since the beginning of time. It doesn't matter if you're talking about Jesus over here, or Buddha over here, or Plato and Socrates over here, like dudes that never met each other, all were saying the exact same thing, that your internal state creates your external state.
That's awesome.
Like,
that's crazy.
Like, yeah. And like, so one other reason why visualization is so important is because if you can see it and feel the emotions that you would feel as if it were happening, right, you start to rearrange the Legos of life to match the emotional.
Yeah, dude, that's amazing. And isn't that like when you rearrange those Legos, like you're not thinking about it every time. It's just like, since you're in this state, it just kind of just happens. Like you can't explain it.
Life conforms to who you're being.
That's so cool. I love that. And that's ever since I like kind of learned that. I read the book Think and Grow Rich, and it changed my life when I was 19. I changed my mindset and I became like the new person I am today. And that has always fascinated me. And it's so cool because I mean, you can control it. It's just doable. And I'm sure there's a lot of negative people who are like, oh no, that's dumb. But now it can be proven with science. And I think that is just so fascinating, so cool. Something that everyone should just at least understand. Like, you know, if you're a negative person, you can adjust it, you can shift it. It's not someone else's fault. And it's just so fascinating.
It stings at first though, because if you're like, wait a minute, if I'm creating it, look at all this bad shit.
Yeah.
And part of you has to understand, like, yeah, part of that's an extension of you.
Right. And then people don't want to like reflect on themselves about it's their fault. So they just keep blocking and they keep being unhappy, and they don't know why. And they would think if they win the lottery or if something good like happens to them, like and they're not in control of their life, and they're probably not happy. So yeah, that's so interesting. You mentioned like I was curious, like all the spiritual thought, like what's your take on with like religion? Like, are you like religious at all, or just spiritual?
I spend an hour every day connecting with and reading about God. Now, God, really? So
it's kind of popular right now with like
when we say, oh God, I don't even, okay. I detach from some of that stuff, but like, okay. So whenever I say God, everybody has a certain connotation that comes up just based on how we were raised, right? Some of us think of the church, and then we have good memories or bad memories. We think of priests, we think of whatever. So God is the universe.
Okay.
God is life force. That is that. When I say God, that's all I mean. So you can call it source, life force, divine intelligence, universe, whatever. When I say God, that's what I mean.
Okay.
And I can tell you sincerely and factually that the more I've cultivated my spiritual connection, my life has expanded in every single aspect, like personally, professionally, financially, relationally, energetically, healing from a place of vitality and physical energy. Like, dude, it is so insane when we lean into these simple truths about who we are and how connected everything is. Like, it's like life has just become so easy. Like,
that's crazy. Cause like I personally am, I'm not very religious. Like I think like the Bible has a lot of like great lessons and stories. And I think if everyone believed like the world would be a better place, I think there's a lot of pros, but like I personally don't buy like, I don't know, walking on water and like from the Bible and stuff. But like, we also like kind of share like a similar positive mindset and like understanding, and like I meditate, but like maybe like I just don't call it that or something. Like,
well, dude, I mean, spirituality, again, another word that our ego attaches a bunch of emotion to. I mean, spirituality is just your relationship with the shit you can't see. It's your relationship with your internal world, right? That's it. Like that's so when I talk about quantum physics, I'm talking about spiritual physics, right? When I talk about epigenetics, I'm talking about, so also epigenetics it's a legitimized medical field of study that shows that so up until I would say early 2000s, we thought that we are who we are because we inherited genes from our parents. And that was set in stone. We were predetermined. And so epigenetics is showing, again, because our brain builds our world, our internal world builds our external world, that our thoughts and emotions impact which pieces and parts of our genes and DNA express themselves. So, dude, I come from a family that struggled with addiction and bipolar disorder, right? So when I was anxious and depressed and abusing drugs and alcohol, I'm like, yeah, it's just who I am. How, I'm sorry.
Right.
Just living out the life that was chosen.
Right. It was handed down to me.
Yeah. And then once I started to think differently, I was like, oh, wait, look, the depression went away.
Dang. So that's interesting. So I've actually always wondered this. Do you think, because I believe that you can change your mind, change your internal, and there is some truth to passing down genes. I mean, your kids look like you and all that stuff. Like, do you think that if you inherit a certain life or mindset or whatever it is, that if you shift it throughout your own life and then have a kid, do you think that you're kind of passing on the more positive,
dude, 100%.
Use your mind? Because that's cool.
Have you ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yeah, I've read Rich Dad. Not in a while, but that's like one of the classics. Yeah.
And so basically he talks about that. So poverty, like I said, even though you're not impoverished right now, poverty is a level of consciousness, right? Lack and scarcity is a level of consciousness. It's a collection of thoughts, feelings, and emotions and stories. That's all it is. That then expresses itself in the physical manifestation of not having enough.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, like just like alcoholism is addiction is, it's a level of consciousness, right? Needing this thing to feel a certain way. That's a level of consciousness. Lack and scarcity is a level of consciousness that creates an energetic field, an electromagnetic field that can also be measured. And so, yeah, if you have a kid and you are immersing that kid in the electromagnetic field of scarcity, and then you're talking about it and you're thinking about it and you're feeling about it, yeah, you're doing that kid a very, very high disservice of immersing them in the consciousness of lack and poverty, which, we, especially like I said, between ages of 3 and 10, we integrate all of that into us. So if we grow up in the consciousness of poverty, we will then manifest the circumstantial equivalent of poverty.
Yeah. It's so important. It's so important for people to know. Yeah.
Yeah, you can change your consciousness. You can elevate your consciousness. Neuroplasticity, you can rewire your brain. Nothing is set in stone. You can actually, like I said, alter which parts of your DNA express themselves. Right. So you're not doomed to repeat the physical and mental conditions of your parents. But it's all up here, dude, because what is your life? Your life is the sum of your thoughts, feelings, and actions, right?
Yeah.
You look at your body in the mirror, it didn't pop out of nowhere. It's the sum of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Look at your bank account. It didn't pop out of nowhere. It's the sum of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions come from here. Your brain.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and you can't fake it for a day. You can't, because you can't get out of poverty in like a day. So that's why like you can't do that sprint that you were talking about. It's got to actually change, and then that'll manifest over time, and you'll get out of that state. That's so cool.
100%.
I wanted to ask you about like ego, right? Because I know you're talking about that a lot. Ego.
I'm going through a big season of ego right now. Okay. It is a beast.
Beast. Okay. Ego. So like from my understanding, like it is basically your understanding of yourself, right?
Yes.
So like do you think like it's bad? Do you think everyone should kind of dissolve it?
So ego, right? Because growing up, you think, oh, that person has an ego. You think it's just pride and arrogance. But you're right. It's literally your limited conception of yourself based on your cumulative life experiences, right? That's all it is. So your ego thinks that Sean is the accumulation of Sean's experiences. Your ego defines you by what you have and what you don't have, what you've done and what you haven't done, and how you stack up against other people, right? So your ego, literally, it's here to help you survive, and that's air quotes for everybody listening, right? It's here to help you survive, and so your ego thinks, okay, life is competition.
Right.
And if it's competition, there's winners and there's losers. If I'm not actively winning by accumulating more stuff and more status, I'm losing. If I'm losing, I will be less worthy. If I'm less worthy, I will be less loved. If I'm less loved, I'll be left alone and I'll die. And so your ego is very primal. It's like your animal self, right? So like if we look at corruption, if we look at what's going on with the environment, we look at the political shit, we look at the inequality going on, right? It all comes from this ego-based, oh shit. Right. Life is competition. There's not enough to go around. I better go out and get mine, even if it's at the expense of someone else or the environment, so that my ego can thrive, so that I can have more. And if I have more, I can finally feel it.
So you think it's like overall bad, like to...
So yeah, our ego, the suffering we experience in life is all ego. Because like I said, our circumstances can't make us feel anything. It's our reaction to them that then causes us suffering, right? Yeah. So for instance, when my mom died when I was 22, I suffered a lot. Now, obviously, there's the pain of grief. There's the discomfort of losing someone. Life has pain and discomfort. I'm not denying that. But the amount of suffering that I went through was because of my ego. And here's what I mean. A lot of the suffering I went through was, why? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to my family? Me. It was very selfish. Why? Why did my mom go through this? Oh, look at me. Now I have depression. Me. Oh, look at other people living happy lives. They don't know how hard I have it. Me. Like, remember, the pain of grief is natural and normal. It's beautiful.
Right.
But the suffering that I experienced was perpetuated by my ego.
So you're saying if you kind of eliminate it, then you can eliminate some of that like suffering.
Oh, dude, yeah. I'm telling you, like, think of how many people right now think that their life is filled with problems simply because their ego has a script of how things should be, and life is unfolding in a different way.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel you. So tell me what you think about this. This is like kind of my approach to ego, because I understand it, and I understand mine a little bit, but like I think that like if you completely dissolve it, I think sometimes you can use it as like a tool. Like if you need confidence, sometimes you need to think that you're way better than you are at something to even do it. Say speaking, like if you're just like, no, I can't do it. You need to use that ego to like pump yourself up. I mean, if you're playing a game, you take that ego and you use it, and then you can be more competitive and have a better chance of winning. Like I am kind of like, I'm like in between. Like I'm spiritual and stuff, but I am like a grinding businessman too. And like, I like to like win and stuff like that. But I feel like I'm healthy with it and I understand, but I like to use it as a tool that you can kind of like turn on and like use it when it's needed. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because so you use speaking, for instance. Okay. I need to pretend to be better than I am.
Yeah.
limitation and unworthiness is created by the ego. So here's the thing. There's nothing inadequate about you.
But what if you're just like, what if you're just practical? You're like, I've never done a speech before, and there's other people that are obviously better than me. And then just practically, there'd be no reason for you to want to do it. You know, if you just go by logic. But then if you use your ego and you're like, no, I'm better than these people, even if you know, like, kind of you're just being full ego, then like that little confidence kind of gets you up there, and then you're in the game, and then you then you have a speech under your belt, and then maybe the next time you're like, I am worthy. You know, is that something you've heard before, using the ego as like a tool to turn on and turn off?
I mean, because remember, the ego, everything's competition. So like, yeah, if you want to go out there and win the speaking, but like, again, what is the intention for giving a talk? It's to help it's to impact people, right?
Right.
It's to deliver information and emotion to impact people. So I would argue that the best thing that you could do, even if it is your first time, is to tell the truth, right? Like, you're on that stage speaking because you have a valuable message. I don't give a shit how many times you've given it. Doesn't really matter. The value that is being delivered doesn't change based on reps, right? The core message is the same, right? So so here's the thing. Ego got you into the problem in the first place. I've never given a speech before, therefore I'm not as good as these other guys. Okay, because it's a competition. All right, well, I better then overcompensate and fake it so that I feel as worthy, when in reality, dude, that whole melodrama was only existing in your head, right? Like, just go out there and tell the truth. This is my message because it's powerful. This is my message because it will change your life.
Okay. I like
right?
that.
And so do you see how like sometimes, like you can use ego to solve a problem, but the problem was created by ego in the first place. There's nothing wrong with never having given a speech before. It's brand new. It's ready for the world, dude. It's ready to impact new ears. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Your ego wants you to think there's something wrong with it because everything's competition, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a double-edged sword, man. It's a double-edged sword.
So you probably hate people like a Floyd Mayweather, or like the old Kanye West, or like Donald Trump, people who are just like all ego, right? Like, I always wonder if those people are, as a public perception of themselves, using the ego, because people kind of like are attracted to that confidence.
I think like a Mayweather and like a Conor McGregor, I think it's branding at this point, because it sells.
Because they are, I'm the best. Like, it's all, there's just ego, like pure, that's what it is, right?
Yeah. And so a lot of them, like if you watch an interview with Conor McGregor, like, he's obviously not always that dude. Like, he believes in his ability.
So he's using that ego as a tool. He's turning it on for branding, right?
Yeah. For branding. So like a lot of people can say like, well, if it's not him, why is he lying? Right. Like, so it's not right or it's not wrong, but here's the thing, man. A lot of people, and so here's the thing, dude, I'm going to do some selfless promo here. Like,
I love it.
I've coached 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs. I've coached Olympic athletes, NFL athletes, very high level people that on the outside, we look at them and we're like, man, they're totally in control of it. Look at them.
Yeah.
And doing the work that I do with them, I find out that they're not in control of shit.
Yeah.
Here's what I mean. So like I said, between the ages of 3 and 10, we develop who we think we are, based on what happens to us and our emotional responses. So a lot of people, they're told by a parent, or they're left by a parent, they're neglected, rejected, whatever, and they develop this inadequacy, this unworthiness. And they spend their whole life trying to prove it wrong. I am so good. Look at how much money I just made. Look at how many medals I've accumulated. Look at how much status I've got. But here's the thing, dude. It's like a cup with a hole in the bottom. Your conditioning goes with you wherever you go. Just like if you're a lottery winner, but you're unworthy and bad with money,
right?
It's a cup with a hole in the bottom. It's going to amplify your unworthiness, right? And so a lot of these guys, they're trapped by their drive to overcome an inadequacy that they're holding in place.
Yeah.
Because it's lodged in their subconscious. So dude, I've literally had these people I look up to. I'm like, and it humanizes them. I'm like, you're battling your conditioning as well. I'm here to help you get free of it so that you can have your cake and eat it too. You can go out and do all the shit you want to do, but your worthiness won't be attached to it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. And that's cool. And that brings me like, another question here I have kind of about business. So I have from your website. So it says you helped one-on-one clients. So I thought this was fascinating. Lose over 100 pounds, generate 7 figures of business income, overcome injuries, create career shifts, reclaim their like role as super mom, super dad, overcome anxiety. All those things are so different, right? Like you're not like just helping business people or just helping people lose weight. A lot of people might personalize like what they do. They might only help people lose weight or only help people with business, but you do like all those things, which I thought was so fascinating. And like, that's your approach. Like you will help anyone who's, has fear as a problem.
Yeah. Because think about it. Your business is an extension of you. Your relationship with your partner or your kids, it's an extension of you, right? Your body.
Yeah.
Right? How you use it, how you train it, how you feed it, how you treat it. That's an extension of your internal world, right? Like I said, as within, so without. Like,
I love it.
So the cool thing is when I help someone scale their business, they know more about their business than I do. I'm not actually coaching them on.
You're not giving them like a return on ad spend, like little tips.
I'm not doing any of that, but I'm making sure that when they show up, they are free from the limiting stories that they've carried around since they were 10 years old. Right.
Okay. So that can apply to all different things.
Yeah. Because dude, nothing happens in a vacuum, right? Let's say that. So a lot of people do come to me. They're like, I'm self-sabotaging and it's costing me dollars and cents. I'm like, okay, cool. So let's, I call it the pendulum. So there's the razor's edge of right now. Sean, you and I we're having a conversation right now. All my needs are met. All your needs are met. No one here is punching me in the face. No one is punching you in the face. We're happy. We're healthy. We're smiling. We're breathing. Cool. Yep. Awesome. How do you feel right now?
I feel great.
Cool. Same here. So when we leave the razor's edge of now, that's where pain and suffering happen. So a lot of us, we want to make sure that the future is so a lot of us, we're driven by one motive, and it's experience the most amount of comfort or pleasure with the least amount of discomfort and pain.
Right.
And so a lot of us, we can't live in the moment of now because we're so busy plotting the future. We're so busy micromanaging and anticipating the future to make sure that it's everything that we think it should be. Right? Should, air quotes, because should is just the worst word ever. Right? So what happens though? We've never been to the future. It's unfolding for us. It's pure potential. It's quantum potential. The Legos haven't assembled yet. But because our brain hates the unknown, we try to anticipate the future, but it's like a pendulum. We swing back into the past. We go into the Rolodex of the past and go through all of the stories and traumas and negative stuff that happened to us, and we project that onto the future.
Yeah.
And that's what creates tension. That's what creates frustration and anxiety and all this stuff. Because we go, okay, I want to make sure that I am as successful as possible in the future. Oh shit, but what if this goes wrong? Or man, I saw my parents struggle with money. What if I struggle with money? Oh no, like I fear rejection. What if these people reject me? Oh no, I better. And then we start to create problems, and then we try to create solutions to problems we don't even have yet.
Yeah.
All while understanding that, dude, your power only exists right here, right now. I don't care how hard you try or how much money you have. You can't solve a problem in the future because it hasn't happened yet. Any problem you're going to solve is going to happen.
I like that.
Right now.
I like that. I've said before that like I feel like I have a superpower that I don't worry a lot. Like I don't worry about things, especially things I can't control. And like it feels so good. Like I'm not worried about if someone's going to break into my house tonight. Like what's the point of that, right? Like
well, it's also like have you mountain biked or skied or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done both.
So, okay. Say you're mountain biking and you see a big ass rock in the trail about 15 feet ahead.
Yeah.
Would you hyper focus on the rock and point your head and eyes at the rock so that you don't hit the rock?
No, you just go around.
No, you'd be like, cool. I register that the rock is here. I'm going to focus on where the rock isn't so that I can avoid the rock. So when we are worrying about shit, oh God, what if I go broke? Oh God, what if this person says no? All you're focusing on is the thing you don't want, and you're nourishing that outcome with your energy, your thought energy and your emotional energy.
Yeah.
And remember, because our internal state creates the quantum reality we live in, what do you think you're creating? By focusing on the thing you don't want.
Right. Negative thoughts, like negative energy, negative bad stuff. Yeah, that's fascinating. I love it.
We literally create our problems and then we beat ourselves up for like them being there.
Okay. Yeah, it's so silly. It's so silly.
Relax.
Yeah. All right, so I got another question for you about your podcast, which everyone should subscribe to, the New School of Success, right?
Yeah.
In the intro, I've been listening to that. In the intro, one of your lines is no more hustle, no more grind. Just try the principles to win life at your terms. So the no more hustle, no more grind. Don't tell Gary Vee that, right? Like, so like I'm kind of like a hustle grind guy, and I think it's different for everyone. But like, are you like anti like that mindset, like hustle? Is that kind of like ego based, or like why is that? No hustle, no more grind.
Yeah, because so I don't think you're a hustle grind guy, dude. I think you know how to intentionally focus your time and energy.
I work on that. Yeah.
So when you're growing, like I was checking out the Instagram for the monogramming, right? Like,
yeah, that's all that stuff is going great.
Yeah, all that shit's beautiful, dude. And like, so here's the thing though. When you are actively executing on tasks that grow that brand, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When it seems like you've naturally been able to, okay, this is what I'm focusing on, and I'm going to do it in the moment of now. I'm going to bring my full presence and my full power to it.
Yes.
And I'm going to create this.
It's hard.
And it's going to bring.
And that's business. That's where like business skills come in, of like kind of knowing and intentionally focusing on things. Cause like I have 13 employees, we have operations, and we have to get all these packages out, but I also have like sales I have to worry about, and then like the future of branding, and then like other business opportunities. There's so many places that you could put your attention to that I think good business people are, kind of focused.
But when you do it, you bring your full presence to the task at hand, right? And so really, I think we've glorified this this grind and this hustle where it's like, it's cool to do it at the expense of your wellness. It's cool to do it. Like, it doesn't matter if your life goes out of balance. Like, yeah, if you're not grinding and hustling, if you're not running yourself into the ground, like, come on, do you not want this bad enough? You don't want this bad enough? Dude, I remember, I remember listening to a podcast with a mentor of mine. He was a coach and a mentor. And he said on an interview, if you don't work on Saturdays, you don't want it. And I'm like, oh, well, he's a guru. I better listen to him. So I remember I would go into my workspace on Saturdays with really not much to work on, but I would sit there because it was Saturday and someone told me that to be successful, I had to grind on Saturday.
Right. If you don't have anything to do, then you don't need to. Like, I mean, I always work on the weekends, but I mean, I have tasks I guess I need to do. Like
it's all intentional. Like, so it's literally, it's all about the intention behind it, because dude, there's some Saturdays I wake up, I go to Starbucks, I get some coffee, I create from the heart. And I reach out to my content guy. Like, it's very heart centered. It's not this brutish, forceful thing. Right. And so I literally, oh my God, someone posted this video and there was this guy talking about, if you sleep 8 hours a night, you're lazy. If you sleep 8 hours a night, you don't want to be successful. He's like, that's a third of the day. If you sleep 8 hours, you're not going to be successful. And I was like, okay, cool. So we'll just run our neurophysiology into the ground. Yeah,
there's science behind that too. Everyone knows sleep.
Yeah, we'll do that, man. And then we'll start operating on autopilot. Let's do that, bro. Like it's just like this hustle porn, bro.
I definitely am attracted to that a little bit, but like I'm open-minded, and
well, it's just,
I think everyone's a little different too.
Like bring a little grace into it too. Bring a little flow into it. Like it doesn't all have to be this super rigid, brute force type thing. Okay. And so. Like, it's balanced, dude. Just like all things, it's balanced. It's like equal parts masculine energy. And some people that advice could be really bad for them. Like, I feel like I balance it well and I am intentional and I understand it. But if you just tell someone, don't sleep, work every second, that could be negative advice for sure. And that's kind of what you're saying in that intro, right? Like, well, because there's all these people that they're like, oh, I want to be successful. And then they look to these people who have large platforms or large audiences and they're like, okay, if that person is successful, I should mimic them X, Y, and Z, step for step. And it's like, okay, just because that person didn't, just because that person says don't sleep doesn't mean that that's actually going to help you unfold into your greatest good. Like you can't take everything at face value, right? Like you got to have a filter. You got to think for yourself.
Yeah, that's cool. So I also wanted to ask you about like your business model, right? So do you ever feel like you're giving out like a lot of free advice and maybe that will like not have you sign a client because you're giving them advice for free? Because like your business model, right, is to get clients and they pay you and you work with them, right? That's like the business model. It's funny because I had a lot of success selling products, and my business is really doing really well. We sell products, e-commerce, people buy from our site, we ship it to them. And I've just recently started this podcast and it hasn't like been a huge success yet. I'm just getting going with it. And it's a different business model, and I'm not even planning on monetizing it or anything like right now. I'm kind of just doing it for fun. I love this conversation, and I wouldn't be having it if I didn't start doing this. But like the business model of kind of putting out content and like getting clients, like, is that business model you like, and it's been profitable and successful for you?
Yeah.
And like, do you ever feel like when you give stuff for free that you're not gonna like hire a client? Something you have to balance.
Yeah, I mean, dude, and this is something I battled with for a long time.
Yeah, right? I would imagine.
And it got to this point where it was like, just tell the fucking truth, right? Like, so I'll talk all day about, hey, like, you got to rewire your subconscious mind. It's your neurophysiology. You're not broken, weak, or defective. You're just letting your conditioning win. That's the problem. That's the problem. The truth is, a free video is not going to rewire your subconscious mind. I will.
Okay.
Right. And so it's just inviting people in. It's inviting people in. And then, if you're like, you know what, like doing this alone just isn't working, schedule a call with someone. Me, right? Like schedule a call, and then just like a mechanic, right? Like if you take your car to a mechanic and you're like, it's not running right. And the mechanic's like, this is broken, this is broken, this is broken. I can fix it. It'll take X amount of hours and it'll be X amount of money. Like that's all I do. Like my sales calls aren't like super manipulative or whatever. I'm like, this is the part of your subconscious mind that is going to continue to sabotage your habits in X, Y, and Z ways. We can fix it in 12 weeks. It's going to be X amount of dollars investment. Would you like to move forward?
Right. And you're such a genuine guy that if someone did get the advice they needed from the free video, you'd probably be happy that you helped them. And ultimately that's good branding for the future. And just like they'll follow you, you get more following, then you can help more people through that. Right. Like, so, and you're obviously doing a great job, and you got a big following. Like, I just started following you, and I love watching your videos, and I love to talk about the ego and everything like that. So excited.
There's some cool stuff coming out. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's great. But so I have is anything else you really wanted to cover with like mindset or anything like that? We talked about the ego and kind of.
Well, I mean, dude, one thing I love to bring up to the audience is like, because it's easy to be like, okay, Sean's got his podcast. Sean's got his business. He's flowing. Must be nice to be Sean. Oh, Julian's talking about all this cool stuff he knows. Must be nice to be him, right? And so I overcome and battle with self-doubt all the time, and stress and anxiety and all these things that are created by the ego. And so I think it's important, man, like tell your audience, like, how long did you, like, what are some of the things you struggle with too? Because it's important for them to see like, there's nothing different from me and Sean. There's nothing different from me and Julian. So like share a little bit about what you struggled with either before launching your business or before launching
I've talked about this in my podcast before, but about 18 months ago, my business basically failed. I was $300,000 in the hole. I had to let go half of my staff, and I was running it like shit because our sales were really good, but I was spending too much on ads. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep making up for it by spending more on ads. And and we had the sales coming in, and we had all these people, and I wanted to keep my employees working because I promised them that you're working for a growing company, and it just all crashed on me. And I literally, I paid $15,000 in just bank fees for getting all the overdraft fees. I was way in the hole. So like money would come in from the sales in the morning, and I'd have to distribute it out to like some of my suppliers before it all came out after at like 11. It was ugly. And it was honestly like at the time that it happened, I woke up, and me and my fiance I run the business with, we even had to rent out our house for a couple weekends and like sleep at the office. Like we had to go to the grocery store.
Dude, I love that, man.
We got our cards declined at the grocery store buying like spaghetti a couple of times. Like it was very ugly. And at the time that it was happening, I loved it. Like I looked at, and this is where I'm weird. I tell people this and they're like, you're weird, man. And it's almost like all this success and stuff. And I've almost flipped it as like, I love failing. It's fun because I took pictures at the time. I took screenshots of the bank accounts that I still have. I took pictures of us sleeping at the office, and I'm like, this is going to be a hell of a story when we make a comeback.
Oh, yeah.
So over the next 6 months, I had to fire like 70% of my people. We kept 3 or 4 people. I had to buckle down, and I had to really learn like these details about how to run these ads properly, how to run my business properly. I was just a young idiot who had a lot of sales, and there's a lot of other details in the business that I was just like kind of ignoring. So I really had to learn it. And I could have gave up. I should have like practically, but I knew that like the holidays were coming up and things were going to turn around. So I just fought through, and I learned how to run my business for real. And it was an epic failure, but like I almost like have trained myself to like that and like look at that as an opportunity to fight back. And maybe it could happen to me again in the future on a bigger level. And the other thing I always say is like, so like, if you get like criticized and judged by other people, that brings like anxiety to you, and it's a natural fear that people have. Like I have almost like flip that into like, I like it. Like I always say like one of my goals would be to have like a Comedy Central roast, or like if people like make fun of me, like I've almost like embraced being like kind of like, and this is where like the ego is kind of interesting for me. Like I almost embrace like being a character, and like, so I can be made fun of, like, because I've learned to like it. And then it almost makes me indefensible, because if I'm successful, then I'm happy. And that's successful is not a concrete term, but if I do well, I'm happy. And then if I do bad, I can have people make fun of me, and I can have a story to fight back from, and that makes me happy too. So I feel like I'm like indefensible by looking at it like that. And I've talked about that on my podcast before, and I'm always happy, because either way it goes, like I can find the positives in it. And yeah, and that's kind of how I've overcame these things. And then it's funny, because about 6 years ago, when I started this business, I started in my mom's basement, and my friends called me like t-shirt boy. They're like, "Oh, I'm sure you'll be like a millionaire selling t-shirts, man." Like, and they're all kind of like down on me. And even when I go into my family, they're like, "Yeah, Sean, you probably got like a real job and stuff." But like now that's all over, because now the business is doing great. I bought a house. I mean, I had that downturn, but and now I just started this podcasting thing, and it's almost like I'm back to square one. I was just at a family wedding recently, and some of my cousins were like, "Hey, what's up, podcast boy?" Like,
Jeez, you're brutal.
I mean, I kind of welcome it on a little bit, because I said I like it, like, but like, it's fun for me to be kind of back at square one. So now when I go home for Thanksgiving, I don't think people are going to be saying like, "How's the business going?" because they see like my Instagram and stuff. They're going to be more like, "Oh, like that podcast, like just starting, like it's looking okay." Like, and I kind of like being back to square one a little bit. And I think I'm weird. Every time I saw someone that, they're like, "Dude, you're weird, man. You're a fucking weirdo." And I'm like, "Yeah," but it kind of relates to all this mindset stuff, because I've learned all this before, and I've kind of produced it in my own way, where it's like, I like being back to square one and having, because no story. There's never a superhero movie where everything just goes fine the whole time. There's always that time where they are down and it looks like they can't turn around. So every good story has a down. And it also, I always look at life as like one of the ways that you can have the most successful life is it the longer you're remembered, kind of like. So if you want to be remembered by even just your friends and family, like I don't know who my great grandfather is. I don't know my other, like they're gone. They're basically vanished from the world, like, so the fact that I'm doing the podcast, like that'll be like recorded and stuff, but just having a story makes you like be remembered longer. And in order to have a story, you have to have ups and downs, or kind of do something crazy. And that's like kind of my approach. And what do you think about that?
Dude, I fucking love it, man. And because that's real. Like, Here's the thing, like any obstacle that pops up in your life, you gotta know it's there on purpose. You gotta know it's there to initiate you into a higher level of yourself every single time. So like, just like you and what you experienced 18 months ago, like that had to happen for you to be the guy you are today. Like that had to happen.
Like I wonder if I would have just been smarter and ran the ads better in the beginning. Like,
no, man, you needed to.
I think I did. It was very healthy. It was very healthy, like business wise, and like. But I don't know. I always question, like, does everything happen for a reason? Like I think I saw something where you said like you think it does, and like that definitely had to happen. Like, but I mean, what if it didn't happen? Like maybe I would have tried. Like maybe I'd have another obstacle to overcome. Like I don't know. I don't really necessarily believe everything happens for a reason, but I like to manufacture like problems sometimes so that you can like kind of have that story, overcome it, and it's like good for you and healthy too. But
dude, 100%.
People think I'm weird.
They're weird.
Yeah, they're weird. Whatever. But oh man, yeah, life is great. It's fun. I have a couple other like just like fun questions, right? Like your tattoos.
Man.
Tattoos. I wanted to ask you about your tattoos. Like you got a bunch of them, and like they're crazy. Like what
started collecting them. Yeah, I started collecting them a long time ago.
Like you feel like does that relate at all to like? Was you just been doing it your whole life? Like it's just one of your things?
Well, no. So I got, I grew up playing sports and stuff. So literally my first one, it's right here. It's on my like trap. And I was just like, that'll look cool.
Okay.
Like that was pretty much it. I was like a 19-year-old kid.
Okay.
Wanted to look cool. And then I got this angel because I like, again, like was very close with the women in my life. So it's like, it says raised by angels and it has my mom and both my grandma's initials, right?
Okay.
And at the time they were all still alive. I was like, gotta show love for these people. And then I lost my mom, right? So I really
that shows how true you are. You said you were a mama's boy. Like, you weren't lying.
Yeah. And so once I lost my mom, then I really was like,
so you use them as like art and like a story kind of.
Oh, dude, yeah. So like,
that's awesome.
Like
that's
this,
cool.
Like an angel here, like some spiritual scripts that really remind me of certain things. And then like, because my wife and I moved so much, like I just started collecting them.
And yeah, you were just showing off the ones on your knuckles about that new idea. So once you're all in, yeah, like I'm scared to get one because like, I'm like, it's like a commitment. Like,
well, yeah, you just start thinking, you're like, okay, if that looks good there, what would look good here? If that looks good there, like you just start piecing together like this mosaic.
It looks awesome, man. Like, it's badass. Like you're committed to it, and like it makes you stand out too. It's like, it's awesome. I think they're cool, and like not a lot of people, like especially in like this, like, or like you see like a lot of athletes and musicians with them, but like in other industries you don't see a lot of people with tattoos. So I it's just something noticeable about you that I thought was really cool.
Yeah. Well, because I love artistic expression, but I suck at it. So I'm like, I'll go to a tattoo artist. I'll be like, here's what I'm thinking. I can't draw it, but if you could draw it and then tattoo it on me, that would be awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I got two more. So
cool.
Who are some of your favorite people, your influences, like the people that you listen to the most, like, or
yeah. Like, so do you know who Joe Dispenza is? Dr. Joe Dispenza?
I don't. I always take pride in like knowing like people. Like, I don't know who that is.
So he has a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And that was one of it just shot me in the heart with lightning. It was just like, yep. You know, like when you read something and it's just so true. You don't know why it's true, but like, yep, I've agreed with that forever. I just didn't know.
Yes.
So Joe Dispenza is one of them because he's kind of like me. He's one of these guys that's bridging this gap between neuroscience and quantum physics and like this spiritual manifestation. He's kind of bridging that gap, right? Which is something I pride myself on too. So love Joe Dispenza. And then there's a guy who has since passed, but his name's Neville Goddard.
Never
dude.
heard of him.
He's like from like 1902. Like he's old school. If you liked Think and Grow Rich, read The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. You could just Google it. Like it's just free. He didn't want any of his stuff to be charged for. He was just one of these dudes that just selflessly helped elevate people's consciousness. He's awesome. So Joe Dispenza and Neville Goddard, like I just love their commitment to what is real, like what is true, right? That's like so those two guys.
Do you listen to Joe Rogan podcast?
Sometimes I have buddies that do, and so anytime something cool comes on, he
has some cool guests. I feel like he'd have like someone like you on, or someone like one of those two guys, because he'll go into like a bunch of different like angles.
That's dude, he goes. He's all about like consciousness and ayahuasca. And, like, all that
and then sometimes they'll have on like a comedian and they'll talk about stupid shit.
Like, or he'll have like a UFC fighter.
I never watched those ones, but
he's got a dynamic platform.
Cool. All right, and the last question is like, what's something that interests you that's like going on in the world right now?
So I truly believe that, again, like and it's a very, very hot topic, right? But all of
I love it.
Gun violence, right?
Gun violence, okay.
Right? Like if it weren't guns, it'd be knife violence. If it weren't knives, it'd be stick violence. Like violence, it doesn't matter the vehicle that the violence is used to deliver. So again, I'm all about consciousness, right? Like what is ego and what is the real you? And obviously, again, pain and suffering comes from the ego, right? Like suffering and hate and anger comes from, well, if this is me and I'm right and you're over there, you're not me, you're wrong. I now have the right to inflict damage on you because we're so different, right? That's ego, right? From a place of quantum physics and spirituality, we're all the same thing, right? We're all vibrating energy, right? We're actually all connected. But so I truly believe that consciousness is the cure for ego, and ego is the cause of like
political divide.
Look at the Middle East. Why has there been conflict in the Middle East for thousands of years, right? You can't cure poison with poison. So why would hate cure hate? Why would violence cure violence? When in reality, it's an elevation of consciousness, right? It's an elevation of awareness that same thing with like.
So you're saying like that. You're saying like that's that is like a cure for a lot of the problems, like violence or the Middle East. They've been fighting for forever. Like it's just you got to like get to those people. Like it's hard for people on a mass scale, I think, to like understand this type of stuff.
It's very hard, but like you look at someone like a Gandhi who, without lifting a finger,
dude, he's amazing.
He used consciousness. He used an elevation in consciousness to topple, the most powerful entity in the world at that time, right? Like, and there's actually this pyramid that is, so basically there's like this pyramid of consciousness, right? Yeah. I was going to share my screen with you, but no one will be able to see it.
Maybe we'll put it on in the post.
Okay. So I'm going to show it with you real quick.
Okay.
So Dr. David Hawkins actually was able to quantify levels of consciousness, right? So like when you are living in a place of understanding, this number to the left is a measurement of your electromagnetic field, right? So you know how someone's like, man, that person's got good vibes, good energy, or that person has bad vibes, bad energy.
Yeah.
That's because there's about in 5 feet around you in every direction, we emit an electromagnetic field that is measurable. And based on the level of consciousness we're at, that is the speed that our electromagnetic field vibrates at. So higher vibrating things have more life force in them, more life force. Slower things have less life force, right? So, and this red line is like the threshold of transformation. So anything below this red line is ego, right? So pride, anger, desire, fear. Yeah. And so here's the thing, right? Like conflict is called by pride and anger, right? Like I'm better than that person. Why don't they agree with me? I wish they were different. Oh, I fear them because they are different. Let's attack them, right?
Those are weakness. Those are weak traits.
Yeah.
Driven by the ego.
Like, courage, trust, optimism, understanding, love, joy, gratitude. Right? Like these are all measurable states of consciousness. And obviously the people that have ascended these are the people that we look up to as like Martin Luther King.
What do you think your number is?
Dude, my number, if I can get measured, I'd say I flirt between optimism and forgiveness. So dude, sometimes, and here's the thing, dude, pride for me, and I've been working with, I don't know if you know what combo is or ayahuasca or something like that.
Yeah, ayahuasca.
I've been doing some deep work on my own ego because the coaching industry is, everyone can say they're a coach, right? And so because I have everything based in neuroscience and I just got certified in conscious neuroplastic mediation, like all these really powerful things that change the subconscious mind that I know other people don't know how to do. Yeah. Dude, if I go on social media and I just scroll and I let my lizard brain take over, I'm like, I'm better coach than that person's spitting bullshit. They can't create real change to do. Like it's all straight ego. It's toxic, right? And so, dude, pride is like that last frontier. Once you can get past pride, you'll see a lot more grace and synchronicity in your life. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's so cool, man. I love that chart. I'm going to try to rise up that chart and,
yeah, man.
So cool.
Dude, you're on the path.
Yeah, dude, this has been so cool and amazing. Like,
likewise.
You just like love talking, spreading your word as many people as possible, man. I think you're going to be big. I think you're going to be someone that people look up to and like learn a lot from. And I'm honored to have you on here. You're by far the best guest I've had.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Like I said, there's something about lucky number 20, right? Like it had to be.
That literally is my number. Like that, like my Instagram and Twitter, Sean Lowery 20. Yeah. That's my number. Yeah. So lucky number 20, and it's going to be 2020. It's going to be 2020.
It had to be epic, man.
Yeah, dude. So everyone going home for Thanksgiving, remember your environment and all that conversation that we had. And dude, this has been an absolute pleasure. And I think that you're going to enlighten a lot of people. And I hope it starts right here on episode 20 of the Sean Lowery Show. Actually, no, is that my ego? Is that my ego that wants that to start from here?
No, that's just knowing that your shit's good.
Okay, nice. All right, man. This has been awesome. I appreciate everyone listening and peace out. Have a great Thanksgiving.